this whole book is freeing, not only in my own mental space, but even just the ability to be able to let them surprise you. And that is a big piece of this, because when we let people be who they are, then they can show up in the ways, and that you don't have this unrealistic expectation of how you think people should be or what they should be doing, but they can just show up as their authentic self, because that's all that we're asking for ourselves as well.
Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Coralyn, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
All right. Hello, and good morning again. Welcome back to another episode of Lead Like a Girl. I am your host, Coralyn, with my two lovely, lovely ladies, Jamie and Jessica, and we're here to talk about all things empowering women through our everyday stories. Also, today is a special episode. We are leaning into some very good advice from a very, very well-known author, Mel Robbins. She wrote this little book called Let Them, and we are going to really dive into all the tips, tricks, stories, personal incidences, things like that we have that we have experienced, where we just need to people and just say how many times in our life just to say, just let them be themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you guys heard about this book, but this is funny. Where I heard about this book is my husband has been listening to this book on repeat, which is interesting because I hear him, but he's an Audible listener. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say he doesn't read, but he doesn't read books. He listens to books, and he'll be in the bathroom shaving, and all of a sudden I find myself listening to like this super good advice, and I'm like, what are you listening to? And he's like, actually, it's the third time I've listened to this book. I feel like I'm in this moment of my life where I just need to take some of the advice that Mel Robbins has and just run with it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some stats on this book, because I feel like kudos to Mel. Like, this book is so famous. Like, it's everywhere. Like, how do you get a book to blow? I mean, and it's not like it's earth shattering, like, oh my God, right? Like, this is shit that we already know, but I just find it fascinating that this book is everywhere. Every room you walk into, everywhere you scroll. This is, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, it seems to be like the most famous book I've ever known. Like, it is everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's funny too is, Coralyn, when you said that Harrison was listening to this, I was reading it at the same time.
And I was listening to it too.
And you know who else is listening to it or reading it is my mom also. And it's just everywhere. So this little green book here, the Let Them theory, is...
You mean this one?
Oh, that one. Jessica, do you have... Jessica?
Mine's on mine. I'm like Harrison. I don't know how to read. No. I prefer to listen to.
Yeah. So this book, I'm just going to read you the back of it. It says that there's 2 simple words that will change how you think about your entire life. If you're struggling to achieve your goals or feel a little happier, the problem isn't you. The problem is the power that you give to other people. So the whole, like, in a nutshell, this book is talking about if people don't like you, if they're not inviting you in, if they're judging you and they're talking about you, if things don't go exactly the way that you had hoped because other people, and we're just walking through life and people aren't doing the things that you want them. It's this giant permission just to say, just let them. Let them do the thing. Mind your own bobber. Keep your head in what you're doing and move on. What do you guys think? What was your favorite part of this book? Just real top level aha takeaway for you personally.
I feel like right from the get-go, and I've listened to the book and read the book, just, you know.
So you're a double dipper also.
I'm a double dipper. One of her first stories, when she was talking about coming up with this theory and how she had her son's, his prom or whatever, and she was trying to figure all this stuff out. I'm listening to that, and right before I listened to the book. I had essentially the same situation, not exactly, but, and I didn't let them. I didn't. And I really probably should have, because it's like,
So tell me,
my
so
adult
for listeners who haven't read the story, give us a high level of what the story is.
the story.
That,
So essentially her story was personal, of her son going to prom and not having his tux and not having anything ready, and how she just kept jumping in to try to, like, well, you have to get this or this is going to be ruined, or we've got to do this. You got to think about this. You can't not have a place to go eat. You can't have,
because she
you know,
had
you
a
got to
total
make it
huge vision of like, this is what prom should look like.
right.
And it was in her head of what she wanted
Yes.
based on whatever her experience was and what her thought of the day was for him, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just what makes sense. That's my problem. It's like, this makes
Well,
sense. What are we doing?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, I think it was either raining or they didn't have a place
Yeah.
to eat or something went wrong, right? And her daughter said, just let them, like, let them go get wet in the rain, let them do this. And so she said it was her daughter really that said those two words that sparked this thing of like, yeah, I just let them make a mistake, or just let
Right.
this happen. They can learn their own lesson. And I had my adult daughter, who's 22, was moving into an apartment and had no one to help, had no help, didn't have a U-Haul or a truck or anything at all arranged. And we had my sister and my brother-in-law happen to be here. We happened to have one day. And I kept telling her, where are your friends? Why is your boyfriend not here helping? Like, you know, and anyway, at the end of the day, yes, I rented the U-Haul. Yes, I arranged for all the people to be there. Yes, I moved her into her apartment.
Yeah. You did not let them.
I did not let them at all. So it was funny because I started listening to the book and I was like, holy moly, like
Right.
this. Yeah, she's not going to learn any lessons from me doing everything and fixing
Yeah.
everything and saving the day every single time. Right.
Yeah. And same thing, right in the door, first story spoke to me. And I'm sure there's so many of us, I'll say, right? And then I think it doesn't matter who you are. There's some part of this book that is going to speak to you. There is something that you can take away from it. I'll say my favorite, and I made a note of this, is the quote, let them go. So basically, letting go is not about giving up. It's about making space for something better. And so that's a little
really relevant.
spoke to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, especially, you know, for me, and I'll use a real life example right now. And I was just talking to another friend about this, and this is this old school mentality of when it comes to your career, being loyal. We come from a school of, you know, with a company almost 20 years. And if that company didn't go away, I would probably still be there, even though there are so many opportunities out there. It was just being there, even though there were so many things about that place that probably wasn't the best for me or my family or the lifestyle that I really wanted to live, but I still stayed in it, right? And so now it's kind of like the same thing. I'm in this situation, and the more I try to get back in where I feel like I'm supposed to be, and it's like it's obvious that they don't want me there. It's obvious that for whatever reason, you know, I'm not welcome, whatever the case may be. And it's just like eating me up inside. Like, how freaking dare you? Are you kidding me? I am amazing. I am a hard worker. I have dedicated the last 10 years of my life. And reading this book, it's like, Jessica, let them. Who cares? Just, you know, just
It's
move
so
on.
hard though.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend Cece always says, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated.
Yeah.
And
this quote, it's like, you know, it's not, but I do feel that way. I feel like because I'm such a fighter and I'm like, no, I'm going back again. No, I'm going to keep fighting. That those words of letting go is not giving up. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself, is that letting go doesn't mean I'm giving up. Because one thing I don't do is I do not give up. This is different versus, you know, oh, I have a weight loss goal, or I have a goal of doing this and I just stop. That's giving up. This is not giving up. This is letting go and making space for something better.
Yeah.
It's hard to pivot too when when you've been all in one direction for so long to I didn't not even backpedal, but just kind of take a step back and almost like you're going down this road and now we're actually going down this road. But that pivot to change and going in a different direction is hard, but you have to give yourself grace and the opportunity to do that. One of my big takeaways from this book is I've had to grow in a space where I just let the people in my circle be themselves. I might have a good vision of what I feel like my husband should be or act, or my son should
Mm-hmm.
be and act. But I feel that the more that I try to micromanage
Yeah.
all the things in my life, the more stress I have,
Yeah.
the more stress they have. And I'll give
Mm-hmm.
you a really good example. So, one of the best parts about my husband is that he is a social bee, like to the extreme. Like he makes friends, like he can walk into a place and case in
Mm-hmm.
point, we went on vacation and he's best friends with everybody in the hotel basically. I don't know how many selfies he took with his new best friends at the pool, but it's insane. So even like this weekend, we were up at a family vacation and we're out on the boat. We've got maybe 7, 8 people in our pontoon, and across the boat, across the lake, is a pontoon. But this family had somehow engineered a sauna. Like they built a sauna on top of a pontoon, and you could see in the distance they probably had their own like 8, 10 people on this contraption. The kids are climbing up a ladder on the top of the sauna, jumping off, and my husband and his brother are just like, what is happening? Like my husband's super into sauning right now, like biohacking, and he's like, I have got to check that out. And my in-laws were like, yeah, we don't want to bother them. We don't want to. And my husband's like, we are getting over there. And he wants to, and he's the person that's going to go and make the introduction and say hello and be super curious about like, what is this thing? And so he convinced my other brother-in-law to drive the boat over there. And of course, Harrison's at the bow of the boat, like just saying, hey, how's it going? We've been watching. So instantly is good friends with this dude. And the guy like invites us all like, yeah, come on in, come check out the sauna. And all the kids like pile on to this pontoon and start. I mean, it was maybe 15, 20 minutes of our life, 15, 20 minutes of their life. But my inner is like, oh, I don't want to put the people out. I don't want to interrupt their vacation. But me just shutting my mouth and letting my husband do his thing and
Yeah.
be
Be
the
himself.
amazing, be himself and be the social, created this whole opportunity for our whole family to connect, for us to connect with this other family. But I just sometimes like try to overthink, like, well, I don't want to impose and I don't want to do all this stuff. If I just let my husband enjoy his gifts and have everybody else enjoy his gifts, like we all are better for it.
Yeah.
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 And you're going to get more practice, Coralyn, as I think Jamie could
Thanks.
attest. I think it's a big opportunity when you have adult kids. It really is, because the older they get, the more they want to make their own choices. And it's hard when just like Mel and that what you're saying, you're not telling them anything that's wrong. You're telling them things that are good for them, things that are going to make sense for them, and all of that. And at the end of the day, it creates so much craziness in us. Think about whatever you went through for that process of moving your daughter. Like, what else could you have done with that space, that energy, that time, right? But all you knew is that you wanted to protect, and you knew it's like whatever you're doing. But the other thing I keep telling myself is, what are we taking away from them? Right? Because if we
Yeah.
don't let
Right.
them make these mistakes, and trust me, I'm preaching to myself here, if we don't let them, and my husband's always telling me this, if we don't let them make the mistakes, if we don't let them fail, we're going to rob them from their journey of resiliency. We're going to rob them of their journey of life lessons and all of those things, or we're going to prolong it. And then they're going
Yeah.
to make more bad decisions because they didn't learn the lesson. So it is so hard when it comes to this lesson with adult kids. I think that's where I struggle. I don't have enough, she tells stories about like friends and inner circles, and you guys know I don't do a lot of that. So it's
I don't do
usually for
that
me,
friend thing.
right? It's usually, and with you guys, it's just, I don't know, these things don't come up. But for me, it's usually my family and my career. And I'm really even trying to get myself in the habit, because there was just so much good stuff in this book, of going back. And like Harrison, like I think I do need to go back and re-listen. I took some notes, and I've been kind of going back to those notes to really reflect on some of the things and remind myself through this journey, because I think timing is everything. And it was definitely good timing for me to read the book.
Yeah. Well, I love that you brought that up too, that Will says that, because I learned a lesson already, like a couple lessons from this book. And that kind of has to do with it, because I just remember when my children were, so I've got 2 adult children now, but when they were going through high school, when they were going through college, everything like that, when there was a situation that came up, I would always think, like, I've already made all these mistakes and I can tell you how to not do that. Like, all you have to do is tell me what's going on. I can help you with this. Like, I did all this already. But you're absolutely right, or Will's absolutely right. I think I did rob them from making some of those mistakes and learning, that resiliency, because case in point, my daughter moving, I never asked anybody to help me move. I got friends over and I did whatever, I made it happen. So,
And you didn't have a mom that was just going to jump in, take over, and make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. So
well,
I was
and to all of our listeners that have little kids, you start this young. I remember listening to a speaker, and she was all about child development. And you need to let your little boys climb on the jungle gym and maybe fall off. You need to let your little girls experiment with like little things here and there. You don't let them experiment with the little bumps and bruises. And when it comes, it's going to be so big, because they're not going to have that natural sense of boundary, that sense of safety, or where they can push the limit, where, okay, if I step past this, I'm going to get hurt. And if you are a helicopter bubble wrap parent that never lets your kids do anything, and it's hard, right? I feel like I started off that direction, and then I'm like, okay, we got to change something else, because we got to push this kid. And so I just stand there terrified internally, but just kind of cheering him on, and just like, all right, take your bike down that hill. We'll see what happens. Let's do it.
Yeah,
okay, so we're gonna pivot here. We're gonna move on to an. Okay, so how do we let them, when it comes to other people that maybe walk away from us or choose not to be our cheerleaders? So chapter 5 is titled "Let Them Walk Away," and one of the quotes she said is that if they can walk away from you, let them. That's not your person. And so what she's saying is that, so if you are trying to hold on to people that aren't choosing you, aren't being your cheerleader, you're forcing them, you just get stuck. And if somebody wants to go or not be an advocate for you, we have to let them too. And sometimes that's painful. I feel like, so let me ask you this question is that, when you work on a project, let's say podcasting. And I remember when we started this a year ago, that when we were like, well, when we were talking, you're thinking, well, who's going to listen to us? And I had a mental list of like, I've got all these like super great friends, super great people in my circle. They're in my corner. These people for sure will listen. And then how are we going to get those other people? And then we find out months later that you're talking about your podcast. Like I said this, they're like, oh yeah, I got to listen to that. Like, you haven't listened? I'm like, right. And I mean, if I'm being honest, I feel that, not even one, you don't need to be like an avid, you don't need to sign up for all day, every day, a half an hour every week. I would like you to, but not even one, really? So through that process, I'm learning that's fine. I just need to let them. We have lots of listeners and lots of other places to influence where I can share. And if you don't want to, one, listen, two, help and cheerlead me and my project and us and our projects, we got to let it go.
Yeah. In that area, see, and again, you guys know, other than you guys, and if I have friendly relationships, but my whole life I had 2 friends, and I'm proud to say that they surprise me all the time and talk about, they're in that episode that you guys talked about, and I'm like, they do listen. So, but that's another reason why I have very low expectations for people, because I feel like, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know. A lot of people say I've been disappointed or hurt before. But in this area, I'm going to go back to, for me, it's career or family. And one of my sisters is a perfect example. And she kind of walked away just from the family, from relationships. And it made me think of her in one of the chapters that I read. And it was like, the first thing is, I can't take things so personal. Like it's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost a little spirit of selfishness, because it's like, it's not about me. Her removing herself, let them, right? Because maybe it's not about me. Maybe there's something going on with her that has her removing herself from our relationship, that she needs her space. Doesn't mean I did anything wrong. It doesn't mean that it's not about me. So what I am going to do is wish her well and not take it personal, not be offended by it, and then just move on. Because when I take it personal and I have all these thoughts and feelings of offense, it's not allowing me to be in a good headspace. And if there's two or three of those people, again, I have a brother who it's always like, dude, like, it's time. You just need to get off drugs. What are you doing? And it's like, I have to let it go. I have to let it go, because here it is. That's holding weight in my mental space. And
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff starts piling up and adding up. And when I
Mhm.
talk about a lot about some days, I just feel like I have this dark cloud, those things piling up and all these people contribute to that dark cloud. And when we're trying to figure out what the hell is this, or how do I shake this, sometimes it's about those people that you just need to let them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that too. In chapter 3, which was one about stress, and we have just had an episode just a couple of episodes ago when we really dove into stress, and she brought up like the small stressors, right? Things that you have absolutely no control over. You don't have any control over somebody else's emotions or actions either, but
Right.
all those things that we allow ourselves to get kind of worked up about or stressed out about, and we don't have any control. You know, she was talking about I'm incredibly impatient, but she was talking about being, I think it was, what was it? I don't think I have it in front of me, but she was, I think it was a cashier or something, and how they were going very, very slow, and she was just
Yeah.
like just you know,
Yeah.
and I'm
Oh
absolutely,
my
I was like,
gosh.
I let it stress me out. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't need to, it's just such a small thing. And I love how her common theme throughout the book too is, you know, you can't control some of these things, but you can control how you react to it, you know, which is, we all know that, but
Right.
knowing it and practicing it are, are really different. I think, thanks for that story, Jessica, because I have actually a sibling who stepped away, and I felt like I kind of took it personally, but then just continued to invite her to everything. You know,
Yeah.
I'm still inviting her. You never show up, don't answer me, but that's okay. That's on
Yeah.
you, not me. So it's hard not to take some of those things personally. But I loved in chapter 7, it's dealing with someone else's emotions, which is kind of along the lines of what you're talking about, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
It said when grown-ups throw tantrums, and there was one part in here where she says, first, it's never your job to manage another adult's emotions. When someone pulls the silent treatment on you, or plays the victim, or erupts in frustration, let them. And then I want you to visualize an 8-year-old trapped inside their body. When you do that, something wild happens. You don't feel scared of this person. You actually pity them, and you feel compassion instead of contempt.
Absolutely.
And yes, and I just love that, the way she explained that, because, you know, you can be, you can almost feel like the victim of someone else's emotional situation, or you can
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's what can I do to help? What am I, you know, just like you get say, well, how can I help this person, or what can I do to make their day better, or whatever. But
Yeah.
really, it isn't your responsibility
Right.
to do that. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself, and then how you react to that person, and with the boundaries, with the, you know, emotional intelligence. So I liked that common theme where it was like, you're really not in control of these stressors or these people and their emotions. However, just that reminder, we can all work on ourselves and how we respond to those situations, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's so many good things in this book. I have like 17 dog-eared pages.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah, they're the 16, the more you rescue, the more they sink. It's like, why didn't I read that 2 years ago?
Say that again.
Yeah. The more you rescue, the more they sink.
Yeah,
Oh, they sink. I thought you said they sing. I'm like, I don't get this.
the more you rescue, the more they sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So, what did you guys find, when you think about, we've talked about, identifying some of these issues and really changing your mindset, right? But what about the actionable items that she talked about to really be intentional? And for me, it's been journaling.
Mm.
It's really been writing it down. And then the next day, when I wake up, it's like the first thing that I do after I pray is go back. And it's funny because you'll see the difference of what you're feeling in the moment versus now I've slept, I've prayed, I've woken up,
Hmm.
and you read that. For me, that's been really helpful to be able to use that because listen, we can read this stuff and we can get a different perspective, but at least for me, I have to do something actionable for
Hmm.
it really to help me. Otherwise, you feel like, yeah, that shit doesn't work. It's good, it's a good thought, but it doesn't work. You got to do more. You can't just read it and then, meditate on it and it's like, okay, that's good. You have to actually take action and then create new habits.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I think the action I take is non-action. I have to give myself time to like assess the situation, figure out what my values are and how I agree or disagree with whatever's happening, and pause and think it through. I just had a situation with one of my clients, and they were upset with some of my team members, and I had to figure out. I mean, I had to sit there and think about how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to fix the situation? And he said, just he goes, there's no rush. He's like, take a week and think it over and then we'll figure out a solution. And I was like, yes, thank you. Cause that was that even with the kids and stuff, with my first reaction, my gut reaction would sometimes be the wrong one. And so I have to make myself have a non-action, which is just, you know what, Jamie, sit down in it, think about it, write down how you feel, make sure this aligns with your values and the type of person that you want to be and the type of person that you are, and then figure out what's my action step next. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
for
that.
me, I have to pause for a minute before I can pause and think it over for a period of time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, taking that time and not being super reactionary, giving and what a great thing for your manager to give you that we don't need to make this decision in a snap. We can take some time and
Yeah,
figure it out.
and it worked out the best way in that way. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, let me think through how I'm going to handle this. The result ended up being great, but I think if I would have just jumped right in, who knows? Who knows if it would have turned out the way that I wanted.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
I also loved in chapter 18, she's talking about dating. And she said the reality is adults choose who and how they love, and sometimes they won't choose you. People's behavior tells the truth about how they feel about you. Too often, you chase love or potential for what you think it could be and end up compromising on your values. By chasing love, you chase away the deep, meaningful relationship you're worthy of. It didn't, not just dating, but I think friendships too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And I loved even when you said it, Jamie, and that is, I think and this is just across all relationships and just things that you do. I love the way you said, does this align with my values or who I am or who I want to be? Because I know for me, for a long time, there were things that I wasn't necessarily walking in who I wanted to be. And that's okay as long as you've identified what you want to be. And then you have to commit to how I'm handling this has to align to my values and beliefs and who I want to be. And that I just I revert back to that, especially in this time where I find myself in situations where I am hurt and I am angry and I am like, I want to react based on my emotions, but then I'm like, you know what? That doesn't align with who I want to be.
Mhm.
That doesn't align with who I am. I can't react that way. I can't say that. I can't make that move. And so I think that was a really great, just along the journey, just consistently revert back to, does this relationship, this situation, this action,
Mhm.
whatever, align to the values of who I am?
Mhm.
Right. Right. And am I reacting to it, with grace and with thoughtfulness? Am I making sure that when you do have the action that it makes sense?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, because
yeah.
at the end of the day, listen, just like anything else, letting go, and I think she may even have said this, it's a journey, not a
Mhm.
destination. Like
Hmm.
it's a journey. So many
And
good things. We can talk hours on this.
yeah,
I know.
it's this whole book is freeing, not only in my own mental space, but even just the ability to let them surprise you. And I think that that is a
Mhm.
big piece of this, because when we let people be who they are, then they can show up in the ways, and that you don't have this unrealistic expectation of how you think people should be or what they should be doing, but
Yeah.
they can just show up as their authentic self, because that's all that we're asking for ourselves as well, is that we want to be who we are, they want to be who they are. I think about this in my own brother, my older brother. We're super close in age, and our whole relationship we've had tension, probably a little bit because we are super close in age, competitive, all the different things. And, it's interesting. I think throughout our life, he's had a little rough go at like having a great job, different other things. He hasn't been he hasn't been the greatest gift giver. We'll say that. Like, he's just, because of whatever happens. And these last couple years, he has surprised me so much. We got to Christmas. This was last year, and my son is super into engineering and robots and things like that. And there's this guy, Mark Rober, who is a NASA engineer, but he's created all these like little subscription build boxes
Mhm.
for kids to
Yep.
get involved in. And we were exchanging gifts, and this I he gave my son a subscription to this thing, which is not it's not cheap. It's a really big gift. And my son opened this up. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Love this thing." It was literally the best gift he's gotten. And so the subscription goes through whatever it lapses. Well, so I go up to pick up my son a couple weeks ago, and my brother had gotten the new subscription for him, and just like out of the blue, he's like, "I think he's really interested in this." And and I just looked at him, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like that is
Mhm.
such a fantastic gift." And it was not his birthday, not anything. He just wanted to pour into him in that way. And I feel like a lot of time, like even just in that, and specifically like just trying to let him show up in the way that he wants to, and not, always do the big thing over holidays or whatever, but just being able to show up in that way was really, really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It just reminds me of, letting people, I love that you brought that up a couple times, because just letting people be let them be the person that they are, and try to avoid trying to change.
Oh my gosh. Say it again for the people in the back, Jamie. It's like, and you know what? And here's my deal. And if they are shitty people, let them be shitty people, because it's too takes too much of my energy to try to change someone, that if I look back historically, I haven't changed any damn body.
I know.
Like
We
nobody
really,
has been changed because of Jessica. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and so I
Well,
hate
I
to
have.
continue to, well, I mean, from a shitty state to a non-shitty state. And that's those are the ones I get hung up on, right? If
Yeah.
Yeah.
shitty people, let them be. And here's the other thing, I think she talks about this, is when they are who they are and they don't align with your values, that's how you
Mhm.
know that you just draw the line
They're just
and
not
Yeah.
your
create those
people.
boundaries. They're just not your people, like she says. So,
Mhm.
I wrote down like my biggest takeaways I had was just identifying emotional baggage. I had a whole 5 pages of journaling on that for me, and really allocating time to be able to really reflect on that, because I know that that's a huge place for me to be able to grow, embracing change, understanding that change is really about growth. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm in that space. And it's funny because when I wrote down these notes, I was not in that space, but I thank
Mhm.
God that he knew what was in front of me, and he was even preparing me for this. And just setting those small little attainable goals for myself, so that I have something that's actionable, and that I can say, I can feel like I won it, because I had this goal and I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to do this. And then I go back to my paper, and we've talked about this before. Checking that box makes me feel so good
Yeah.
that I accomplished a goal. Practicing that mindfulness, building boundaries. We've talked about that before. Huge area for me to just say no and be
Oh,
okay with that. Even if it's, taking care of the neighbor's chickens. I mean, it's knowing it's okay.
She's
It's
not going to let you get away from that, Coralyn, ever.
no, it's just, little things that I always have challenges with sometimes saying no. So those were my big takeaways overall for the book. But good stuff. And I hope that those of you that have started it really finish it, because sometimes we get busy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back and read it again. Those of you that I don't care where you are or who you are or what kind of journey you're on, every single person, in my opinion, can benefit from reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, I would just say I agree with all the things that you said. And just my takeaway was also a couple of those items, which was like, those little stressors, like we don't have to be stressed about it. Just reacting to, whatever the situation is, we can't change. We have no control over it. We can control how we react. But then also just that portion of trying to change people and really just aligning that with the values of, I may not be able to change you. However, I can create an environment where you feel okay changing, something where, I will forgive you, or I will invite you, or I will participate in whatever, but just creating that environment, as long as that does align with what your values are, but making them feel like it's okay for them to change, and you're not going to judge them for that. And you're not going to try to do the work for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you, Coralyn?
Yeah, I feel like my takeaway in this whole book is people just aren't thinking about you the way that you think that people are thinking about you. Everybody, if you're worried about people judging you, if you're worried about people, what they're doing, it's just not a concern, because as much as you think about yourself, they're thinking about themselves.
Yes.
And I just want to challenge our listeners, just to stop wasting our time, your time and energy on just people, like overthinking what you think people should do, what people think should act, how they should treat you, and just let people be themselves. Let you open up the way for you to be yourself. We don't need to over-explain, over-perform, be people pleasers. And it just others people's actions don't necessarily represent how they think about you. They're just humaning through life, just like we all are trying to do. So this was a great conversation, ladies. I will double down, get the book, get the Audible, listen to it again. If you're in the three-peat, like my husband, keep going. And if any part of this message resonated with you, please like us, share our content, subscribe to. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's where we are. That's where you find me. Please share. Our website is leadlikeagirllab.com. We're on social media, so please comment on us. We love the comments we've got so far on our TikTok videos and Instagram. So interact with us. We love hearing from you guys. But continue on leading like a girl, empowering everyday women through your stories, and tune in next week. We'll see you then.